Greetings and welcome. To my right here again is Bill Hopkins, and we're ready to destroy another masterpiece.
And to my left is Dmitry Katzman, and we're here for another episode of Holy Tissues. And we're ready to polish the dark corners of cinema with the tears of God. So, with that in mind, we're going to begin tonight with Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. And starring Matthew McConaughey.
The great Matthew McConaughey.
The great Matthew McConaughey now, as he's now known. And
some other
and that actress.
former star.
that former star actress who probably wish she wasn't in this movie.
So what are your feelings, Dmitry, about Interstellar?
So I just want to say that even though this movie is very long, almost 3 hours, I felt very engaged when watching it.
Right.
You could see that it's made by a masterful director, and all those special effects, all the space exploration scenes, they look amazing.
Yes, it's true. CGI is the cure to ADHD.
But the more I thought about this movie, the more strange and illogical things I noticed.
Right. Well, I just felt like the communication method, was, for an intergalactic communication method, it's got to be the most inefficient and poor communication possibly one could conceive of. It seemed a bit contrived to me that the daughter would be able to, interpret this code correctly under such bizarre circumstances and contrived circumstances. A communication method never once ever conceived of, probably in the history of mankind, behind the spooky bookcase, somebody's pushing books. I mean, if anything, you would think it would be a ghost. What made her think it was her dad? I have no idea. It's pretty contrived. I mean, of all the communication methods, why not just type in a computer, O's and ones or something, It's the same kind of idea, I guess, but a more sentimentalized version of it.
No, but they couldn't send anything through regular computer. They didn't have internet in another galaxy.
There's no internet through the singularity.
The Wi-Fi was very weak.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's sort of room there, I think, for problems. I think the whole movie fell apart a bit due to the sentimental ending. I think that's a pretty core issue. I think that's a tissue right there, I'd say. Having this interstellar communication through the bookcase seems very illogical and plays on a lot of sentimental feelings between the mother and this, not the mother, sorry,
the daughter and the father.
The daughter and the father's storyline, yeah, which is a very contrived formula.
So we have the daughter that gets the signals from her father, right? They interpret the signals and find the NASA station. He goes to space, and then he sends those signals back to himself.
Right.
But then again, how did he get there in the first place? If he couldn't find it in the beginning, that space station, he would never go to space.
Right.
So this whole loop doesn't make any sense. Of course, they could always say that it doesn't make sense because we're thinking in terms of our 3 dimensions, but in 5 dimensions.
You need to think in 8 dimensions, then you'll understand.
Basically,
the story.
What this movie tells us is that in 5 dimensions there is no cause and effect at all.
Right.
There is no logic. Everything can go random either way.
I think that's a very convenient plot device to have on your side, where you can just bullshit almost anything.
Exactly.
But I think overall, though, for all the talk about science and physics that it tried to maintain, it really tried to bring science to a higher level, and using an elevated conversation about physics and the time-spatial relations, in between planets and large distances apart, using time as a sort of resource in the film. Yeah, where we saw in the other extra dimension, or on that other planet that they found rather. Every second there was worth years back on Earth. So it added to the tension, and it was okay on that level, but then it all degenerated from science back into spirit again. Just like 2001, like you have all this wonderful science and interesting alien technologies, and at the end, it all has to degenerate back into spirit again. And I understand, like, okay, all right, fine. You want to get the whole audience. You want to get the spiritual audience and not just the science audience, but you're kind of sabotaging your own point when you do that. If the whole point of your movie is to get NASA funding.
I think that he tried both to remain formulaic and to remain accessible to the public.
Yes.
And at the same time, he tries to do the scientific masterpiece, some kind of cinema breakthrough. But you can't go both ways. You either do it in a formula or you do it your way.
Right.
And you don't care who understands it or not. Maybe 20 years later they will understand it.
Well, look.
But in this movie, it's all just straightforward. It's all formula.
Tell me you didn't see other movies in this movie. It was a hack job, this movie. It's hacked away. It is a compilation of the Grapes of Wrath, trying to capture that Depression 1920s spirit with a Dust Bowl, Grapes of Wrath sort of mentality, and also, of course, movies like The Right Stuff, some average Joe, test pilot, Mr. Ordinary, ordinary American gets to be the guy. Like, he just stumbles into NASA and they're like, you're the guy, you're going to be our hero now. After no training, no assessment, no anything. Just, you stumbled onto our secret lair and now you're our hero. Right? It's ludicrous.
It's strange that they didn't question the way he found it, right? Yeah. He tells them some bullshit story about some message from a bookcase,
right?
And they just swallow it.
They're like, good,
it must be the reason.
Now get your ass into the intergalactic zone. You're going to be our test pilot. No questions asked. Ridiculous storytelling.
Suspense of disbelief in this movie.
No belief on my part. Forget suspending belief. I never got to belief to begin with. There's no suspense even. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't like that. And not just Grapes of Wrath and The Right Stuff, but quite clearly, Contact. The father-daughter relationship across dimensions.
That's a good point.
Like, what a ripoff. I've never seen such a direct ripoff. It's showing Christopher Nolan maybe kind of losing it, I'm sorry to say. I think we've discussed this, I remember once a little while ago, and I think we're both in agreement. I think he needs writers. He needs someone else to be writing this movie. He's a brilliant director.
His brother.
Well, not his brother. No, he's a brilliant director, but my God, stop trying to be the writer-director. You're not a writer-director. Well, maybe you can work with other writers and shape the material, but I just feel like you're losing it a little bit on this one. It's too contrived, and even for a big blockbuster, it's kind of contrived. Another thing I didn't like about this film, I'm not sure if this is a full-on tissue or not, but trying to make drones family-friendly in the beginning of the movie, I didn't like that.
Indian drone.
Well, it's
why Indian? Out of all countries, it has to be Indian drone. It just seemed very random.
I just thought, what I saw was American family playing with their drone like they were flying a kite, okay? It was ridiculous. First of all, families don't own giant drones like that. Just fly them around and just have fun with them.
No, they caught this drone.
What do you mean caught it?
The way they stumble upon it, they were driving, right? And then suddenly he sees this drone flying around, so he caught it by the computer.
No, he didn't catch it. He was remote controlling it.
It didn't belong
it's like a toy.
It didn't belong to him.
Well, what does that mean, though? He has the remote control. How does it not belong to him?
He had some kind of software that could
He
connect.
hacked it? He hacked it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Which
ridiculous.
it's completely ridiculous, that whole
But
scene.
it's just the
with
point.
The drone.
It's just the point of the nice amber waves of grain, and this sort of American field, an American farmer with his drone. Is there anything more American?
Like the Second Amendment, everyone has the right to own one drone.
Everyone has the right to own a
to bear
drone.
drones.
To bear drones. And on that note, I think we've completely covered all of our bases. And so we're just going to review our tissue points right now, and you're going to see them on your screen. And I think that will be it. So I'll begin with my tissues. It's quite a few of them. I believe I got up to 5 tissues on this one, which is the maximum number of tissues each of us can have. I almost needed to borrow one from you, in fact. It got so numerous. And my first tissue number 1, is failing to achieve transcendental Americana, like it said it was trying to do. Or not like it said, but like it was trying to do. And it failed to achieve that moment, that essence of Americana that's good and decent, and without striking any false notes. It struck too many false notes, and then for that, gotta give it one of these. The second tissue, is for trying to make drones likable and family friendly, which I think is total hogwash. Hogwash, yes, hogwash. That's a good American phrase, right? Hogwash. And third, number 3, cooling myself down with all these. Whoa, it's hot out. The third item is for being a hack job, for basically taking ideas from The Grapes of Wrath, The Right Stuff, and of course Contact, which is very direct hack job from. So that's number 3. Number 4 was poor physics, in the sense that it had to degenerate into spirituality again, and not maintaining its strong scientific premise. It had to degenerate into sentimentality in the spirit world again. So I mean, that's another one, and I won't tell you what orifice I would wipe this one with, but it's you're mixing oil and water, and you're sabotaging your own premise. NASA's not going to get funding, because of this movie, because you mixed your oil and water. These tears will also be for NASA too, okay? Because they're not going to get their money now. You failed, Christopher Nolan.
You failed humanity.
You failed all of humanity. You weren't our Matthew McConaughey, okay?
Okay, so I'm gonna
That's
say...
4, really. 4, not 5.
So we have 4
Nope.
tissues.
There's no tissues for acting. The acting is top notch. Anne Hathaway was tough, somewhat believable in her, tough woman role, which all the women are playing these days. And they're all more manly than the men half the time, which is a subject all on its own. But on the other hand, there's also Matthew McConaughey, brilliant acting job, not a problem with his acting. He did the best he could with material given to him.
He's a real pride of the South.
He is a pride of the South, it's true. He is a man of the people, for the people, by the people, and all that. It's true.
Okay, so I will talk about my tissues now. So the first and the most important thing is the contrived plot. And what I mean by contrived plot is, first of all, there are logical inconsistencies with the whole time travel thing. The fact that he's sending messages to himself from the future, but if he is already in the future, why does he need to help himself? He can only send something to help somebody else, not himself. It doesn't make any sense. The humans already survived, so why do they need to send something to help them to survive? It just doesn't make any sense. Another issue with the contrived plot is that those scientists that went to the suicide mission, they're supposed to be one of the smartest people among humans. But as we see, we watch the movie and we see that they do one stupid decision after another. And I'll give you an example. First, it's all still one tissue.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
So when they want to decide which planet to visit first, they go to the planet that is on their way to other planet. They claim that, okay, we're just gonna cross there anyway, so why don't we jump there first, that water planet?
Right, yes.
And then we'll check the others. But there is a very simple problem with it. They waste 7 years per hour by jumping into that water planet instead of going and checking other planets who will cost them just few months.
Right, right.
So instead of checking the other ones that will take them few months, they go and waste 23 years on a planet that they could see it's all water.
Yeah.
When they approach the planet, they could see it's all water. Why do you need to land there to understand it? You could see it when you fly towards it.
Yeah, yeah. But was there some rescue mission element involved in that? I kind of that one.
But it wasn't. The rescue mission was rescuing humanity first.
Yeah,
and then
right.
some person who's
I
on
know.
that planet.
All
right?
humanity be damned. We got to save one of our crew. Right.
These people, they're supposed to be so
It's a good
smart,
point. It's a
so
good point.
smart,
Yeah, right. It's a good
and
point.
they make this simple mistake.
They degenerate in animals. You know what? That's my fifth one. I forgot. My fifth one was that it just degenerates man into primate at the end of it all. Science just degenerates into man being a primate in a fist fight between Matt Damon, who also did a good acting job, but a fist fight between Matt Damon and McConaughey. Yeah, right.
And Matt Damon, I just want to say he's great as always.
Oh, he's come on. Of course.
I think
He's never not good.
the greatest thing about Matt Damon, that despite his completely average face that's completely forgettable, his charisma and acting talent just does the job. My second issue is for the horrible soundtrack that ruins the space atmosphere. What they did is they added this completely regular symphonic soundtrack that is prevalent for all the Hollywood movies, and it just ruins that special atmosphere of being in space, where you have no sound at all. They just cheapen it. Somehow it just made it cheap, it makes you cringe when you hear again this symphonic music that's been played thousands of times in 1,000 movies. And I don't want to hear it again, ever again. So that's my second issue.
Listen up, Hollywood. Enough of this.
Enough.
My man here has had enough, and he's completely right. Enough is enough. It's time for a change.
It's time to change the soundtrack, the record.
Yeah, you're tearing our souls apart here with this soulless music. All right, so stop your evil ways. Okay,
I
so
think that's about it.
you got 2.
I have only 2 tissues.
I have 5. That's a total of 7 tissues. That's a lot of tissues. So here we are. Come on, let's do it. It's time. Right on, baby. That's it. Good job.